Hey guys, I'm Jim. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by. Today I want to share with you guys some 1947 through 1966 boxing exhibits that I've been collecting. I have 10 in total, and I'm really having a fun time with this because I'm learning about some great fighters that I had never known about before. So looking forward to sharing those. I'm going to talk a little bit about each fighter, but before I do, I want to give a shout out to my friend George, known here on YouTube as Concrete Buddy. George had reached out to me a while back and mentioned that he was going to be coming up to Boston, and I thought it would be a great idea to meet up if he had the chance. So I messaged him back, and he said that he did have some time. And on Sunday, this past week, I drove up to Boston, met up with George. We had lunch, hung out for a few hours, walked around the city a little bit, drove around a little bit, and talked a lot about the hobby cards, what we do with our collections. And it was just a great time in all. And of course, we've got so many friends here on YouTube. It's just really, really cool when you get to meet them in person. So that was really great. And George gave me a couple of gifts. First and foremost, he gave me this 2014 BBM Japanese baseball card of Andrew Jones. So, of course, as you all know, Andrew Jones was a really, really great player. Many believe, and I wouldn't argue, that he should be in the Hall of Fame. And, of course, after his MLB career was done, he did go and play a couple of years over in Japan. And this is just a really cool card depicting that part of his career. So there's that. And then George also very generously gave me this Max Schmeling from the 1938 Churchman Cigarettes series. And this is fitting because my video today will be about boxers. And of course, Max Schmeling was a great fighter. He was the heavyweight champion from 1930 to 1932. He had a career record of 56 wins and 10 losses. And he had two famous fights with Joe Louis. They were basically worldwide events due to their culture, their nationalities. Of course, Joe Louis is an American, and Max Schmeling is German. And in the first meeting, Schmeling actually knocked out Louis, and that was in 1936. And then he lost the rematch 6 months later when Louis won by a technical knockout. So very awesome. Thank you so much for that, George. I'm actually getting a SGC submission prepared, and I'm going to look forward to sending that one in, getting it slabbed up, and putting it in my collection. So whenever I see that, I'll think about the great time I had meeting George in Boston. Anyway, I'll leave the description in the link for Concrete Buddy. If you're not familiar with George's channel, please stop by and check him out. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable, has an awesome collection. And that's it. Now I'm going to flip the camera around. We're going to take a look at some exhibit cards and talk about some great fighters that you may have never heard of before. Okay, so first up, we have here Carl Bobo Olsen. And he was a world middleweight champion from October of 1953 through December of 1955. And that was the longest reign of any champion in that division during the 1950s. His career record was 97 wins, 16 losses, and 47 of those wins were by knockout. He is a member of the World Boxing Hall of Fame and the International Boxing Hall of Fame. So there you have Carl Bobo Olsen. Next up, kind of a local guy. This is Willie Pep. As you see there, it says Hartford, Connecticut there. And so Hartford, Connecticut is probably about 50 minutes west of where I live. And Willie Pep was a great fighter. He held the World Featherweight Championship twice between 1942 and 1950. He had an incredible career record of 229 wins and 11 losses, and 65 of his wins were by knockout. At one time, he had a 131 win to 1 loss record. Just pretty amazing. He was voted the #1 featherweight of the 20th century by the Associated Press and ranked the #1 featherweight of all time by the International Boxing Research Organization in 2005. He is currently ranked by BoxRec as the 28th greatest pound-for-pound fighter of all time. And he's a member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. I just love the gloves. Nowadays, their gloves are like so well padded. These gloves are not very well padded at all back then, so pretty cool to see that. Next up, we have Patty DeMarco. Really cool looking card here, and again with the little gloves. And so Patty DeMarco had a career record of 75 wins and 26 losses. And on March 5th, 1954, he beat Jimmy Carter, not the former president, but a boxer. And he beat Jimmy Carter to win the World Lightweight Championship. 8 months later, on November 17th, 1954, in his first defense of the title, he lost in a rematch with Carter in a 15-round technical knockout. And Patty DeMarco is also a member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Next up, Joey Maxim. And so Joey Maxim had a career record of 83 wins, 29 losses. And on January 24th, 1950, he beat Freddie Mills in a 10-round knockout to win the World Light Heavyweight Championship. After the fight, 3 of Mills' teeth were found embedded in Maxim's left glove. So that was pretty devastating to Mills, I guess. Anyway, Maxim's most famous fight was on June 25th, 1952, his second defense of the World Lightweight crown at Yankee Stadium against Sugar Ray Robinson. Maxim won by a 14th round technical knockout. 6 months later, he lost his title to Archie Moore. Maxim was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1994. So there is Joey Maxim. Next up, we've got Roland Lastarza. Roland Lastarza. He had a career record of 59-9 as a heavyweight. 27 of those victories were by knockout. His most famous fights came against Rocky Marciano, losing a split decision on March 24th, 1950, and then losing to Marciano on September 24th, 1953, with an 11th round technical knockout. That fight was named by Ring Magazine as the Fight of the Year for 1953. Unfortunately, Lastarza was injured in the fight, which required surgery to his arm, and his career continued afterwards, but he was never the same. So there is Roland Lastarza. Next up, Tony Gennaro. Tony Gennaro had an 83-11 career record with 26 knockouts as a middleweight. So he fought from 1943 to 1952, and he never won a championship, but was always a top 10 contender and fought most of the top fighters of his era. His career got a late start as well due to military service. So there is Tony Gennaro. Next we have Tommy Yaraz. Pretty cool image there of Tommy Yaraz as well. And during his boxing career from 1939 to 1950, he compiled an 84-7 record in the middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight divisions. And a long period of Army service during World War II interrupted his career at its peak and may have prevented him from winning or fighting for a title. So there's Tommy Yaraz. Next we have Johnny Gonzalez. And Gonzalez, really cool photo there too. I like that image there. Gonzalez with the gloves. Those are Bailey gloves that these guys are wearing. Anyway, Johnny Gonzalez had a 57-21 record and was the #1 contender in the early 1950s as a lightweight, but never got a title shot. He is a Hall of Famer, being inducted into the World Boxing Hall of Fame in 1995. Some of these guys just hard to find a lot of information on, to be honest. Next, I have Vince Martinez. Vince Martinez compiled a 69-8 record in the welterweight division over a 12-year career that spanned from 1949 to 1961. He was a very popular fighter of his era, but only had one title fight, a loss to Virgil Atkins in a 4th-round knockout. So there's Vince Martinez. And lastly, probably the best of all, and this is just a great, just love this card. This is Ezzard Charles, who had the nickname of the Cincinnati Cobra. And he fought in 3 divisions, the middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight divisions. And he beat numerous Hall of Famers in all 3 of those weight classes. Had a career record of 95 wins and 25 losses. And on June 22nd, 1949, he beat Jersey Joe Walcott in a 15-round decision to become the heavyweight champion. He followed that up with a title defense decision over Joe Louis. He also had a successful title defense in a rematch with Walcott, as well as defending his title against Lee Orma and Joey Maxim, who I just talked about a minute ago. In 1951, Charles fought Walcott a 3rd time and lost the title by knockout in the 7th round. His 2 most famous fights were against Rocky Marciano. There were just 2 battles, and both of them are regarded as ring classics. In the first meeting, he became the only man to go the full 15-round distance against Marciano, winning on a unanimous decision. Marciano won on a unanimous decision. And in the rematch, he was getting the best of Marciano, split his nose open, but Marciano's trainers were able to stop the bleeding, and Marciano ended up rallying for an 8th-round knockout. So, like I said, this guy was really a great fighter. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1990, And in 2007, ESPN ranked him as the 27th greatest boxer of all time. And in 2009, Boxing Magazine listed him as the greatest light heavyweight fighter ever. So those are some pretty great recognition right there. Like I said, just a great fighter, really awesome. So happy to learn about these guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.